The next assignment we're going to do in Flash is going to be an animated owl nursery rhyme. So we're going to take this nursery rhyme and we're going to animate it. So a wise old owl lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why can't we all be like that wise old bird? So the first thing we need to do is first we have to create a bird. So we're going to go to Illustrator. So go ahead and open up your Illustrator. And go File, New. This time we're going to be naming it Owl. And we're going to make the width 11 and the height 8.5. Everything else can stay the same. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the owl's eyes. So we're going to grab our ellipse tool and we're just going to click on our document. And we're going to make the width 1 inch by 1 inch. And then press OK. And then we're going to increase the stroke size to 8-point font. So then we have a nice thick round eye. We're going to add to the eye by clicking on the ellipse tool again and clicking on your document, except for we're going to make half the size this time. So we're going to do 0.5 by 0.5 inches. Then we're going to take our selection tool and we're going to move it right up to the top. So kind of about right there somewhere. And then with your selection tool, draw a square around it selecting both objects and go edit, copy, edit, paste. Now our eye is the wrong direction, so we want to turn it. So we're going to go Object, Transform, Reflect, and we're just going to rotate it 90 degrees. So if you preview it, it'll show you what it's going to look like. And then we're going to move it up. Let's center our eyes a little bit on our screen. Oops. Make sure you always grab both of them. About right there is good. So now we have our eyes and they're side by side. Next we are going to make a nose for our owl. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer so I can see my owl. Okay, so next we're going to go back to the Shapes tool, except for this time we're going to do a rounded rectangle tool. And we're just going to draw a little rounded tool, center it in between his eyes. Now we want to manipulate this a little bit more to make it look more like a nose. So we're going to select the direct selection tool, which is the second tool, and this is going to allow us to take these points and manipulate them. So then I can take this and I can move it, whoops, make sure you double click on it. I can move it down and towards the center. I can double click on this one and move it down towards the center. So then I'm kind of manipulating my nose a little bit more. My nose is a little off, so I'm just going to keep moving it just a little bit at a time. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. See if that's any better. That's a little bit better. So kind of just make a shape that you like. I feel like it's still a little off. I'm going to drag it out a little bit. I think that's better. Okay, so just make a shape that you want. If you want this to come more towards a point, you're more than welcome to. So if you want to do something like that, I actually kind of like that. I think I might keep that. You can do something like that. So your nose can differ a little bit from mine, as long as you have something that looks somewhat like a nose. Now we are going to make the body. So we're going to keep the rounded rectangle tool. We're going to draw a little square around our owl. It covered everything up, so we need to go Object, Arrange, Bring to Back. And I'm going to bring it up just a little bit so there's more room at the top of his head versus the bottom. Something like that. And then with the Direct Selection tool, we're going to create some ears for him. So with the second tool, we're going to take this top. There's two little dots here. We're going to take the one on the very top, double click on it, and we're going to bring it down. Same thing with this one. Bring it down to where you kind of have a straight line right there. And if you want his ears to go up more, just click on this. Just make sure that you bring them up to the same. There you go. You'll know when you have them even because, let me try this again. Okay, right there. That's how you know they'll be even, because they have that lime green thing. So now you know I have some even ears. The next thing we're going to do is create some feet for him. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to use the rounded rectangle tool again. And this time we're just going to draw a little rectangle about like that. Make sure that's the right tool I wanted. It is. We're going to make it 6-point strokes, so we're going to make it a little bit skinnier. And then we're also, okay, so once we have that, we are going to copy and then paste. We're going to move this with the selection tool. We're going to move it right underneath it. And we want it to be a little bit smaller, so we're going to make the stroke 4-point. And then we're going to go to Object, Transform, Scale. We're going to scale it 80%. So it's going to become 80% smaller than what it was. We're going to move it right over top. Okay. And then we are going to copy and paste this again. Edit, copy, paste. And we're going to make this one even smaller, so we're going to give it a 3-point stroke. We are going to scale this one as well, so Object, Transform, Scale. We're going to do it 80%. So then it's just a little bit smaller every time. I'm going to arrange these just a little bit better. And then just kind of arrange them the way you want. I think that's pretty good right there. Still not a huge fan of that. And I'm not a big fan of this top one yet, so maybe we'll make it 5 points. Maybe that'll fix it a little bit. That's pretty good right there. Okay, so once we're done, we're going to highlight all three, and we're going to edit, copy, edit, paste. So for this time, we want it to, we're trying to make it look like it's feet. So we're going to rotate this one a little bit more. So we're going to go Object, Transform, Rotate, and we're going to rotate it at a 10 degrees so that it looks a little bit out. And then we're also going to scale it a little bit. We're going to scale it at 90%. So we made it just a little bit smaller and we put it in. Whoops. We're going to move it about right there. We're going to make one more set, so we're going to highlight those 3 legs right there. We're going to go edit, copy, edit, paste. We're going to move this. We are going to scale this one again just a little bit. So Object, Transform, Scale. We're going to scale it at 90%, so it's just a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to have to move these over a little bit. So I'm just going to select those and move them over. Select my middle claws. Move them over. grab my last set and move them. Okay, we don't want them to go outside, so we obviously need to move all of our clouds over a little bit. Oops, don't rotate it. That looks pretty good. Once you're done and you're happy, highlight all of them and go edit or object group and then edit, copy, edit, paste. And then we're going to, so we're making the other set of feet. So for this one we need to rotate them. So we're going to go transform, reflect, and we're just going to do it the opposite. So now we have, and then move them up. And we should have 2 sets of legs now. I feel like I still need to move them in a little bit, so I'm going to move mine in just a little bit. Okay, so now we have some feet. The next thing that our owl needs are some wings. So we're going to choose the rounded rectangle tool again, and we're going to draw a little roundedness right there. Oops. Okay. If you want it to be a little bit thicker, just grab your selection tool and move it out so you can kind of make your wings as thick as you want. Now, we want to make it look a little bit more like a wing, so grab your direct selection tool and grabbing this top one, we're going to double click and we're going to bring it out. We're going to bring this one up a little bit. I'm obviously not the best artist, so we could probably make our owl look a little bit more like an owl. But this is the best I can do. So let me click off of it and see what we have. That's an okay wing. It's not too bad, I guess. See if I can fix it a little bit more. Still not happy with it, but it's an okay wing. I guess it'll do for now. So we're going to select it. We're going to edit, copy, edit, paste whenever your wing is complete and you're happy with it. Oh, make sure you grab the right object. And we need to flip this, so we're going to go Object, Transform, Reflect. Just click OK. And we're going to move it so that we have a wing on each side. I'm going to move this one in a little bit. Just kind of move them around until they're about the same height and width and everything like that. So that's our beautiful owl. So now we're ready to add some color to this owl. In order to add color, we're going to go ahead and open up our brushes over here. And we're going to go to swatches. You can choose any color that you want, as long as it kind of makes sense a little bit. Remember that you can hit the down arrow and go to Open Swatch Library and find some other colors or patterns for your owl. Let's see. So just kind of play with it a little bit, and all you'd have to do is hit the selection tool, select the object that you want to color, and hit the swatch that you want. I'm going to go ahead and color mine really fast, and then I'll meet you back when I'm done coloring it. Okay, so I have finished decorating my owl. Obviously, it's not the most realistic owl because you probably wouldn't find this pattern on an owl, and that's okay. But the one thing that you do have to make sure of is whatever pattern, whatever colors you choose, that they go together. You know, I wasn't doing, blue legs with, this pattern. All my colors, even though I have different colors, they all go together. I don't know what colors my legs were. I think they were this color. Okay, if you really liked my patterns and you couldn't find, and you didn't know where I got them from, I went to Open Swatch Library. Then I went to, where did I go to? Patterns, I think, and then Decorative, and then Decorative Legacy, and I have all these different patterns. So that's where I got a lot of those from. I think that's the one I chose. So you don't necessarily have to make your owl realistic looking, but the colors do have to go together. So this is my owl. The next thing we need to do is we need to save him. We're just going to go ahead and save it, File, Save As. We're going to save it as an Illustrator document and just name it Owl, and make sure you maneuver to wherever you want to save it to. I'm going to hit Save. Accept any of the defaults. And then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to color a branch that he is going to be sitting on. So go back to your Moodle, and if you see this uncolored branch in Moodle, go ahead and open that. We're going to open it up with Illustrator. And we are going to be coloring this branch. So we have this branch. We're going to go ahead and color. You can color it with whatever colors you want, but I wouldn't grab colors that would necessarily clash with your owl. And you kind of want to be a little bit realistic. I'm going to go Open Swatch Library, and I am going to open up Nature and then Foliage. It's going to be just a bunch of greens and browns and different colors that you might find in a branch. And then all you're going to do is, with your direct selection tool, which is the white one, you're going to grab a section and click on the color that you want. And then just make your way through the branch, just choosing different colors. All of these colors pretty much go together, so you won't go too wrong by clicking just any of these, because they're all pretty much complement each other. It's too many browns in a row. I'm going to change that to a green. So I'm going to finish coloring this, and then I'll get back with you when I'm done. Okay, so I've almost finished coloring my branch. I wanted to point out that I realized that it looks like claws for an owl. And it used to be, we've cut the owl out, so we're just going to pretend like this is part of the branch, since our owl that we drew already has feet. So I just want you to color the owl's feet like it's part of the branch. So we're just going to pretend like they're not feet. Okay, so now I think I have my entire branch colored. When you get to these upper branches right here, I had to zoom in a little bit, or else you're probably going to select the branch and mess up. So just make sure you zoom in when you start working on the very small branches, because some of these spaces are pretty small. Let's go ahead and save this. So let's go File, Save As. Save it as an Adobe Illustrator file and just name it Branch. I've already saved it, so that's why it's asking me if I want to replace it. You should not have saved it by now. Accept all the defaults, click OK, and then we can exit out of Illustrator.